Great shooting yesterday, Steve. You fucking nailed them. His friend called across, with a smile on his face that could have been a snarl. Eyes squinted, his top lip pulled up as he spoke, teeth showing. The voice amplified off the water. Thanks, Gavin. Yeah, you did all right too, Steve said more quietly as he loaded his gun, not looking at his friend. He took a deep breath. Nothing but fresh air and the smell of gunpowder out here. Job took a look at Gavin. He was a few years younger than Steve, gaunt and pale, and wore a camouflage jacket that appeared to have been bought for him to grow into. His hair looked as if he had fallen out of bed just seconds before. As a pair they were opposites, some comedy duo from another time. The shooters spread out all over the swamp, all with an eye on the most senior game warden, awaiting the signal. Protesters were now in the water as well, waiting to rescue the downed birds that were still alive. They would try to rescue the protected ducks and the swans, as none of the shooters would claim them. The game wardens trudged around in their blue vests. Officially, their job was to stop the shooting of protected birds, but as they would not be able to prove who shot what, their job was really more about keeping the protesters and shooters apart. Job could already hear the arguments starting in the distance. "Look at them fucking greenies," said Gavin, nodding towards the protesters. "Do-gooders, one and all." He lowered his gun with one arm, pointing it casually at a protester 80 metres away. He liked to do this whenever one looked his way. She stood defiant, staring back at him. Job instinctively took aim at Gavin's head, his finger firm against the trigger. Steve looked towards the protester. "Yeah, if they'd just fuck off back to their communes, we could have some real fun. Raise that gun, though, or she'll get the wardens and cops to hassle us." Gavin raised his gun towards the sky, leaning it back against his shoulder. Job swung his aim slowly back onto Steve. "Hey, did you see me on the news last night? There was a TV reporter here to cover the opening day who interviewed me," said Steve. "Nah, what'd you say?" "I told her that the protests were all for nothing. Told her that we shot the birds, they fell down, and we finished them off humanely, so there's no suffering at all." She lapped it up. They both laughed, too loudly. Steve checked his watch. Come on, he said. Job shut his scope eye, opened his left, and looked down at his watch. 7:20. A game warden gave a signal, and the thudding boom of shotguns shook the air. There were shrieks of laughter as ducks started to fall from the sky. Some fell like stones, but others attempted to right themselves with one wing, or flailed desperately as they fell. With his eye an inch behind the scope, Job aimed the SR-98 just as Steve lifted his shotgun high towards a target. Instinctively, he breathed out and held it there, waiting a moment. In one smooth action, he pulled the trigger, absorbing the recoil. The soft-pointed bullet hit the target's stomach. Through the scope, Job watched a halo of pink mist surround Steve for his last spectacular moment of life. He dropped the shotgun and fell forwards into the water. His friend just stood there staring. Job breathed in again. He dismantled the rifle methodically, placing all the pieces in his bag. He retrieved the shell casing and picked up the shotgun that was lying off to one side. Sliding backwards, he used a branch to sweep the area clean. Halfway back he stopped, took a note from his bag and placed it on the ground, resting a small rock on top. Then he swept the rest of the area. To his front, Job could hear people screaming and frantically splashing their way towards Steve Lawrence, where he floated in the cool water. Job picked up the bag containing his rifle and slung it onto his back. He pulled off the latex gloves and put them in his pocket. Carrying his shotgun over his shoulder, he wandered away, using the mound as cover against the crowd gathering on the other side. Just another hunter. Chapter 2. Rachael shook as her muscles suddenly released, quivers rippling throughout her body. She dropped her hands to her sides and lay there warming for a few minutes in the early sunlight.